For context, it is currently early June of 2026, and some of my viewers and subscribers are headed to summer coding camps or are sending their children to coding camps. Most of these camps are teaching Python. So the top question I've been getting this past month is, how do I set up a Python development environment, particularly on the Apple MacBook Neo? A quick note about the MacBook Neo. If it was my money, I would buy a pre-owned Silicon M1 MacBook Pro for its capabilities. But hey, it's your money. With regards to Python dev environment setup for coding camps, I would say that the simplest method by far is the UV package slash project manager. UV is very efficient for low power devices like the MacBook Neo. And like many modern toolings for developers, it was created using the Rust programming language. I have a free Rust course on my YouTube channel that I created back in 2020. You can use UV to install whatever version or versions of Python you want and whatever Python packages you want. And then, of course, you can upgrade those packages at a later time. UV borrowed and then improved upon the concept from other popular package managers out there. UV handle much of the infrastructure work for you and let you focus on building applications. When I started programming in Python back in 2015, we didn't have anything as nice as this. To set up UV on your Mac from the UV website, go to installation. Now, I prefer this curl command here, but UV also has another curl command with the less terminal text reader pipe into it so that you can read the entire script before you allow it to be run on your computer. This is a security best practice. Here's what I mean. Verify the UV installation once the script is completed. This UV command will install the latest version of Python by default. You can use UV to install multiple versions of Python if you like. If you are new to development on the Mac, I do want to caution you about something. If for whatever reason you have the Xcode Mac OS IDE installed, Xcode has its own version of Python that it uses for itself that is installed on your Mac. That version of Python lives in this directory. Now, you do not want to use this Python. If you want, you can use UV to pin a specific version of Python to your computer for your projects. If you are indeed using a MacBook Neo with the smallest hard drive that they offer, or something similar to that, every few months you want to run this command here, the UV cache clean command, to clear out old caches. Now that we have UV and Python installed, let's build an app to verify that everything is working correctly. You can use UV to manage any kind of Python applications, including data science application, web application, whatever you want. I'm going to use the very popular Python library called FastAPI to generate a web application for a UTC time converter. I used the UV command to initialize a project called UTC converter. That command generated the project directory, UTC converter, of course, and then scaffolded a typical application for me. UV uses the Tomo file extension to maintain project configurations. If you have previous programming experience, you might have seen a .json format, a XML format, or even a YAML format to maintain project configuration. The Tomo format is perhaps subjectively superior to all of those other formats. You may have noticed that I'm using NeoVim instead of an IDE like VS Code or PyCharm. Again, if you're using a low power device, a low power computer like the MacBook Neo, then the NeoVim doesn't take a whole lot of system resources to run compared to graphical IDE. I would also encourage you to not use an AI coding agent for at least a week or so. Part of the learning process is the struggle to figure things out. That's how you learn. Now I'm going to install the Fast API library with the extra dependency set, which just means install Fast API and everything that it needs to work. The algorithm for this application would look like this. So I'll import Fast API and its utils. A Python application that returns raw JSON is very boring to demonstrate. So I'm going to make this a small server-side rendered web application instead. That's why I'm bringing in the HTML response. This next line is self-explanatory, and I will just have one base root for this application. Then we'll define a function for this fast API decorator up here. And like I said before, we are going to build a server-side rendering web application. So we are going to return the HTML in this function, like this. And yes, I do have a code formatter inside of NeoVim. And this is how I run the application using the UV command in development mode. That is rather quick. And the app in the browser on port 8000. And we also have an instance of Swagger, or the API docs running as well. And here is our API documentation. Normally this would say JSON, but of course I'm returning HTML. Let's call the endpoint. Here's the response body itself, again, HTML. So there is our UTC time, and then the response header. As you can see, UV is pretty nifty. Subscribe to my channel if you want to. It is completely free. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Goodbye for now.